Hi, I'm David Dunn, and this is a Business Extra podcast from The National. And today we've got some special guests from one of the most familiar brand names across the UAE, Danube Group. With me is Anis Sajan, who's the Vice Chairman of the Danube Group, a conglomerate that includes Danube Home and Milano home improvement products, a high-profile real estate development portfolio, and a thriving retail materials vertical. And Anis is here with his sons Azar, who's the founder of Casa Milano, and Sahil, who's the Milano director. They're going to discuss the story behind the Danube Group and where it will go in the future. Welcome to you all.
Thank you, David. Pleasure to be on your show.
Firstly, Anis, you created the business in the mid-90s with your elder brother Rizwan, chairman of Danube, and you've gone on to incredible success, but it wasn't always that way. So what can you tell me about the humble beginnings of you and Rizwan in a Mumbai tenement block, and how those early challenges, including a family tragedy, shaped what was to follow?
Like you mentioned about the family tragedy, I lost my dad. Rather, we lost our dad when I was 8 and Rizwan was 16. So that was a big blow because he was the main earning member of the family. But Rizwan did shoulder the responsibilities and took the family along. And then, like you mentioned, everything was not easy, of course. He moved into Kuwait, and I was in Bombay, going to school. And after school, I started college. But in between school and college, I did a little bit of selling of Diwali lights. Diwali is a festival which is celebrated with a lot of pomp in Bombay. And that was my first hands-on experience in Bombay.
Okay, so what were some of the challenges that you faced? Obviously, you were a young man. You're starting on a business, I guess, slightly unofficially. So what kind of challenges did you face in doing that, in perhaps setting it up, and did you have any problems with the authorities, maybe?
Oh yes, as I said, I was probably at that time 10 years old when I started this thing. But the challenge what I had was when I was selling Diwali lights to get electricity, and it was not that easy. So how do I get the electricity where I show the lights? Because without showing the lights, you can't sell the Diwali lights. So I requested one of my friend's father, who was an old school at that time. And I had to bell the cat by saying that you give me the Diwali lights and I ensure that I decorate your house with the best of best Diwali lights. He agreed. And I finally got, stand in front of the building where I showcased the lights. But then when my stand got popular, a cop turned around and said, "What are you doing? This is not allowed. This is illegal." So I said, "Okay, this is one for you too. Take it for your house." And he happily allowed me to sell the lights. So that was challenge, but with challenge, you probably get a little street smart in Bombay.
Perfect. So you learned a bit of resourcefulness, which is obviously key to anything in business. Now, with Rizwan, I mean, obviously you guys had a strong bond. He originally had, I think, a Bacta cart, you call it, and he was also selling items. So you kind of took his lead to an extent. But how important was that bond between you two? I mean, how, particularly, I guess, in considering what happened with your father, how key was that bond between you guys and your relationship?
It was huge because I said I was 8 when I lost my dad. And at that time, I didn't realize what is life and death. So Rizwan shouldering the responsibilities not only of the family, but he never made us feel the absence of a father. So that bonding between us and the love what I got from my sister's mother was very close knitted, and it really helped us to grow eventually. And like you know about the Danube Group now, without that bonding or unity, we wouldn't have been today where we are.
Now, you mentioned Kuwait. Obviously, I think at 19 you moved out there because Rizwan was out there. Now, pretty swiftly you found yourself in the middle of the Gulf War, which was obviously a devastating period. Now, what particularly happened to you? I think you had an experience that obviously was traumatic, but must have had an effect on you going forward. What can you tell me about that?
Well, yes, on 2nd August, all of a sudden, Iraq invaded Kuwait. And we never knew what is invasion all about. But then we could see the tanks and the bombings all around the city. So what do we do in this period? We didn't want to sit at home. So we decided to sell oil on the street. And one fine day when I was selling oil, a cop walks near me and asks me, what's the price of this oil? And unknowingly, I said 5 dinar. And he asked me, which dinar? Is it Iraqi or Kuwaiti? I said, Kuwaiti. Not knowing that this guy is an Iraqi soldier. He said, next time you say it is Kuwaiti dinar, I'm going to shoot you. And that was like shocking to me to hear that I'm going to shoot you. It understood that I had to say it is Iraqi dinar. I said, I'm sorry. It was a slip of tongue. It's definitely Iraqi dinar. And then I got away with that. But that was again an experience, a frightening experience. But again, it taught me that you need to be street smart and use the right words where you need to.
And obviously resilience as well. That's the other thing. So obviously you went back to Mumbai not long after that. Now, I think you further learned your craft as a salesman with selling water filters around Mumbai before you moved to Dubai. So just tell me a little bit, what did you learn from that period? And then how did you sort of, arriving in Dubai, what were your expectations?
Well, when I came back from Kuwait after 2 months of staying in the invasion period in Kuwait, didn't know how to go about. So went through the newspapers and found a job of sales. And I was always into sales. Like I said, I was selling lights. So I got a job in a company called Eureka Forbes, where we had to sell water purifier going door to door. So during those days in the early 90s, the security was there, which would not allow you to enter the building. And I remember the watchmen or the gatekeepers used to stop you. So how do you find your way? So the best way was to keep a cigarette packet in your pocket, offer it to the watchman, and he'll let you in. It was a bribe in a way, but if you don't do that, you don't get an entry. And then you knock probably around 100 bells in the building, and probably 2 or 3 doors might open with a smile. Otherwise, 80, 90 would bang the door on your face. But that taught me the art of rejection. And as I mentioned, when you are learning this very early on in your life, it makes you strong and determined.
Sajan Saho, when you hear your dad sort of recounting these stories, what do you think about that? What do you make of that? I mean, it sounds like extraordinary times. Well, is there anything you kind of take from that?
I think it makes me a lot more grateful. With time, I've come to realize that the challenges what they faced back in the day in order to survive and create something of themselves. It truly is a remarkable achievement. And what we have today, we should be grateful, and you should utilize it to the best of its ability to make something of yourself. So I'm truly grateful, for the opportunity that he's given us.
And so, I mean, obviously a very different lifestyle here in Dubai, and hearing this, how do you kind of apply that to sort of, obviously your early sort of path in the business?
So of course, like how my brother mentioned, grateful, like it made me realize that if I crib for the smallest things, then I realize like, what am I doing? I have everything. Why am I cribbing? After hearing all these stories about my dad. So you just have to appreciate what you have and just move on with life.
Okay. Now, Anis, obviously you arrived in Dubai, kind of the early days, I guess, of Dubai to an extent. What were your expectations, and what were the kind of early I guess the early sort of experiences of Dubai for you from a commercial point of view?
I would be lying if I say I did not like Kuwait. Trust me, my 10 months of Kuwait journey, I never liked Kuwait one day, because I was doing well in Bombay, happy, hanging around with my friends. So I was every day praying, when will I come out of Kuwait? And then after that Kuwait experience, when I came back to Bombay and making good money in Eureka Forbes, I never wanted to go back to the Gulf. But my brother persuaded. He said, no, Dubai is different. And the moment I landed, the immigration officer greeted in saying, Kaisa hai? And it says, how are you? It made me feel good. And my brother, knowing that my experience in Kuwait was not good, took me to a street in Karama in Dubai, where there were all Indians in the restaurant, and I felt at home. And that is where I realized that I've come to the place where I wanted to be. And I've always seen in the last 32 years of living here, Dubai is home away from home. You don't feel out of place.
Okay, so I mean, what did you find here that perhaps the UAE was offering that you couldn't have found elsewhere?
Most importantly, the support of the rulers. Will be all expatriates who come here, come with something to do of your own, make a living out of yourself. So that when you don't get that backing, it was easy to clear your container if you received your goods at the port in the morning. In the warehouse, you should have the goods by evening. So there was that transparency, no taxation. So easy to do business, I would say, convenience of doing business.
Okay, so I believe the sort of very sort of early seeds of Danube Group were when you were selling Shataf sprays. Now, just tell me a little bit through that very early period when you sort of went from doing that to forming the company with Rizwan, and then obviously opening your first showroom, where that was and when that was.
Well, Rizwan started selling wood, and he said, you can try what you feel you are good at. So I went to the sanitary market, and I saw that product Shataf, which is, used for the nature's call. And I probably at that time it hit it that this is something you can't survive. And at that time in Bombay, when I remember, that product has not started. So I believe this is a product, not only every Muslim uses it, every individual uses it. And rest is history, as I say, because I started selling 1,000 pieces of Shataf during those days. But now I'm proud to say we sell more than 100,000 pieces of Shataf. And that gave wings to other products like the showers, the faucets, and the bidets, and all the Milano products.
So you opened your first showroom, and just obviously that must have been a proud moment. How many showrooms do you have now, and employees?
Yes, you mentioned to me about the showroom. My first showroom was in Abu Dhabi in Musaffa, way back maybe in 94, 95, if I'm not wrong. And that was just the beginning of many more showrooms to come, because we realized that you need to be seen to show your products. And that shop is still there, and it's one of our identity shops. We used to sell plywood, Shataf, showers, a lot of other things. And then we have almost around 50 shops all over UAE.
Okay, and how many employees do you have now?
Around 4,500. I remember we started with 4 people. That's my brother, myself, a secretary, and probably a cleaner. And now 4,500 people. A lot of hard work. A lot of people put in hard work, but most importantly, you need to have the vision to execute it.
Perfect. Now, talking of vision, you've seen obviously how your father's vision has been influenced by the UAE and the opportunities that were here. How do you now maybe carry that forward? And do you feel like he's quite a hard act to follow?
I don't think we can ever match up to it. I'll be pretty honest about it. We do what we can. We try to make it what we have. We make the best out of it, I would say. And the idea is to make my dad proud and take the legacy forward to the best of its ability, because he's given us that platform, and how we can use today's world advantages, the opportunities, what they didn't have back then, how we can use them to our strengths today to make something out of it, and excel further. Like what you said, my my uncle told, my dad could have whatever opportunity he wanted, so I got that chance as well. To make something a little bit different from what they've been doing, more into the niche segment. So I was very grateful, and that's taken a very interesting journey for me in the last 5 years.
Okay, and Sahil, I guess you, being younger as well, you perhaps look at it from a different perspective. You maybe see there might be different demands out there, or what's your kind of vision?
So see, back then there were different traditions, and they utilized it well. Now the generation is different. There are so many different things, many technologies coming, and you just have to be different. You cannot be the same just because how the businesses were built, because they worked very hard for it. So now times have changed, and how for me to take it forward is that the main aim is to always be profitable and come with different ways to execute it.
Okay, and obviously your dad has sort of I guess empowered you to be sort of Milano man now, which is, I think, is a great title. Now, how do you kind of execute that vision? What's your kind of what's your sort of path going forward, do you think, with that?
See, first of all, there's only one Milano man, and that is my dad. But he keeps calling me that, so if it makes him happy, that's fine. And how do I keep up with that? It's just that, I have to be always upfront at work, and, be at the job. Come up with different things, do the right things, be at the right path. Don't take shortcuts everywhere. And that's the only thing if I want to take the business forward. And why we're doing business, because we want to make money, we want to be profitable, and we want to give the best service. So that is the main thing I have to execute here.
Excellent. Okay. The Dubai you came to in '92, very different to how it is now. So how did you approach sort of pretty much landing here fresh-faced with the experience you already had. How did you sort of take things forward?
One advantage of Dubai was it was a free port. And that is the convenience of doing business here. People from all over the world come to buy from Dubai. So I remember in those early 90s, the Iran market was open. And when then Iranians stopped coming to Dubai, it was the Russians which came over. After the Russians, then the Africans came over. So the best part about Dubai was if one door used to get shut, the other door used to get open. So one of the reasons of Dubai being successful or being famous for the trade market or tourist market, because of its open-mindedness and I would say the support of the rulers as well as the friendly nature of doing business here.
Now, obviously, Danube is renowned for providing practical and budget-friendly solutions to the masses, which obviously you've done very successfully. What inspired the decision to take, I guess, a bold step into the luxury segment by opening high-end showroom like Casa Milano? And what's your vision for that? What do you see? Where do you see it taking the company now, the group?
We started this specific division 5 years ago on a dream that he had, that he wanted to not just go for the budget-friendly market, but also go for the niche market that is interested in the medium to high luxury type of products. And we needed time to focus and create a different aspect completely to it, because you cannot treat it the same way you treat a budget-friendly concept. So I had that opportunity, when I was in university, and I found out that, he wanted to do something like this. So I said, okay, let us see and take a different route altogether. And the other reason I had was to create my own type of path. Like if it's already, set up and built, what value could I add? That was my one mindset that was running for quite some time. And what we've done right now in the last 5 years, we've been operating in the UAE with multiple branches, and we've diversified into different product departments as well to cater to the requirement of this market. Because it's, UAE is currently booming. We have to make sure and capitalize on it and feed the demand that is there.
Obviously, one of the things, certainly in the last 5 years and since COVID, was the housing market has obviously dramatically increased. More people are owning their own homes.
Absolutely.
Is that something that feeds into your business and drives the business? In fact, people want to do renovations. They own somewhere. They want to make it look personalized.
So we have, two types of businesses. One is the B2B sector and the B2C sector. So currently, everybody is becoming a developer. We need to cater to that market. In order to do that, they're all making buildings, and we need to supply to that. So, of course, it's the right time to be in this business. And once those buildings may be made, people right now who are, in their mid-30s, having children or just getting married, they're also either renovating or moving into these apartments and trying to make it their own.
Now, Anis, obviously, you've been here many years now. Has there been a pivotal moment in your business life here that's really that really stands out? And also, do you feel, bearing in mind what we've said already, that Danube Group has contributed to sort of the prosperity of the UAE in terms of the economy, and obviously you provided a living for, you've mentioned all the employees. These people have got, perhaps families on the back of what the company's provided to them. So it's a two-headed question, really. Is the pivotal moment, but also just what you feel Danube Group has brought to the fabric of the UAE.
Well, the first point which you asked, the pivotal moment, is I remember from 92 to 2004, everything was going well. Rather, 2008, everything was going well with the real estate booming at that time, as well as the export people coming to Dubai and buying. But when the bubble burst, that is where, people started downsizing their business, where the so-called recession had come in UAE. And I remember during those times, we never shut down our businesses. Like, we never downsized our business. We always believed with every challenges, you get an opportunity. And that gave us a chance, because when others were downsizing their business, we got to take share of their business. Now, what I'm trying to just emphasize is that when people downsize the business, there's an opening. It's very easy to swim with the tide, but when you swim against the tide, the rewards are more better. And like you mentioned about the second point, can you repeat that?
Just really what you've brought to the UAE in terms of, I guess, adding to the prosperity of the country and its development.
Since we're a building material company, a lot of towers, or I would say the Burj Khalifa or the Burj Al Arab, whatever this iconic buildings have been made, somewhere or the other, we have definitely contributed by supplying them the building material products. And I would say with a lot of pride that it's not only just the building material product. Along with UAE, we have also grown. Because I've always believed when you do business, it's mutual. So you give and you take. So if Dubai has grown, so have we. And it wouldn't have been possible for us to grow had there not been prosperity and the right vision in Dubai.
Brilliant. So that must make you say, like you say, there must be a lot of pride there. You can see a building and say, oh yeah, we've kind of played a role in that, which is fantastic. So you've it's been like a symbiotic relationship where you've both grown together, and their success is your success and vice versa. So okay, and taking that in mind, then, what have you given back, sort of, I guess, personally to the UAE, such as, I guess, sort of CSR kind of activities and community kind of projects, maybe?
Yeah, I'll just first answer one more thing. Incidentally, I also celebrate the same age as UAE is. I'm 53 and so is UAE 53. But having spent here 33 years of my life, what I have understood and learned that if you are gaining something out of it, you need to give it back to the society. So what we have given, we've started schools where we teach, English as well as something about computer to the people who are underprivileged and not able to understand. So this same people who have learned in our school have now become heads in their own divisions. So which gives us a lot of pride.
And this is in the UAE, India, or elsewhere?
UAE. I'm talking about in Dubai, we've opened up schools.
Danube
Welfare Center.
Amazing.
So that is something which we thought we should give it back to the society. And then obviously during Ramadan, you don't talk about charity when you do, but we ensure that we distribute a lot of iftar packets to the needies because a lot of people, look forward to these iftar packets. So if I have to talk about the most important thing, what we have done is to part education to the people who are not able to speak English. And today there are some people who have become managers in our company as well as in other companies.
Wow. Okay. So that's amazing to see that. That's a very tangible, I guess, response and result. So where next do you take the business? Obviously, it's a huge business. The group is business. It's flourishing. I can see buildings with the Danube name all around the city. You've mentioned sort of the fact that you're obviously part of other people's buildings as well. Where do you take the group next? I mean, obviously expanding Danube Group, Milano. Do you take it to other countries, to other territories? And also, obviously, there's been a lot of IPO activity the last few years with likes of Talibat, I think, are going soon, and other companies. Is that something you would take, a route you would take the company down?
First, I'll answer your last question about the IPO. We haven't thought of it. Now, probably we would go into it. Not because that we don't want to go into it. It's just that when you get into an IPO, that comes with a lot of responsibility because you then take the money of the public. Where you need to ensure that you do justice to it. Having said that, what we have done in this so many years is that not only contributed for the growth of UAE, but also our growth. I actually lost your question because it was divided into three. Can you repeat one? I know about the IPO. Can you repeat the other two questions?
Just really where you take the group next.
Yes.
Obviously, the Danube Group itself and Milano. Where do you take those products and that, I guess, the company? What other countries and territories do you plan to?
So the IPO part I've already answered that we don't want to get into it. Well, now Dubai has become so famous, rather UAE has become so famous that people from all around the world want to come to stay in Dubai. So what we have done is that we've opened offices all across the world where we are trying to get investors to invest in Dubai, be it in Russia, or Ukraine, or the Middle East. We are trying to make the brand of UAE famous. And we tell those people, you come to the UAE, like my brother's tagline is Habibi, come to Dubai or come to UAE. It's because we feel Dubai is one of the safest place and home away from home. So in this way, we've able to get people from all around the world to invest in UAE. And if they feel Danube is the right property developer, they invest in Danube. And the third question was, there was one more question you asked me.
It was really just where you take the company next.
Yes.
Yeah.
So apart from opening offices, we've also opened franchises of our Danube Home across the world because everywhere you cannot have a branch. Yes, we've been okay to have branches in UAE, Oman, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar, even Saudi Arabia. But opening a branch in Africa or probably in
South America.
South of America, it's not that easy. So we give franchises. So that is where we are spreading our wings. And I'm confident with the young generation, they probably will take the Milano brand and Danube brand through the world.
I guess just coming back to the IPO element as well, I guess you've operated and grown well without being a family operation, without kind of, I guess, sort of going down that route. So it's almost, I guess, you know, there's an element of don't mess with it if it's not broken. So you seem to be thriving very well without it, and you've got the ideas. Now, one of the things, obviously, as a father and a leader, you've learned so much from your life in Dubai. Now, what business lessons do you, and this is for all three of you really, do you sort of want to impart to Azhar and Sahil?
I'm glad you asked me this question, because there's a lot to learn, and what we keep learning in the last 33 years, that in business, there will be ups and downs, there will be challenges. But like I've always mentioned, every challenge throws up opportunity. But at the same time, when it throws up opportunity, sometimes you tend to get carried away. That is the time where you need to make sure that you keep your feet on ground. What I'm trying to just emphasize again on that point, don't get carried away. Do not do over trading. I've always seen businesses go burst because of two things. When you do over trading, is that suppose if there's a demand of 2 months of goods, you don't bring 8 to 12 months of goods, where you will have an aging stock. Secondly, make sure that don't feel shy to ask for your payments. Because if you're shy in asking your payments, as they say in the aircraft, that when the oxygen mask falls, make sure to put it on yourself, then put it on the rest. So if you don't ask your payment, you would get broke. So I would rather not get broke and ask for my payment on time, so that I can pay my people who are a part of my company, my suppliers, whosoever are dealing with me on time, rather than having a cash crunch.
Okay, so just coming back on the inspirational side of what Danube Group has achieved. Now, what would be your message, say, to anyone watching this, who, the younger generation again, like your sons, or aspiring entrepreneurs, how do they go about pursuing their dreams? What's your message to them based on what you've learned and what you've experienced?
In my 33 years of experience in UAE, I want to stray it with a straight heart, and that UAE is a gold mine. The more you dig in, the more you can get the gold out of it. But to get that goal, you need to work hard. Obviously, a lot of people work hard, but you need to have a vision and the passion. Passion, vision, and hard work makes you successful in life. And yes, lots of luck, lots and lots of luck.
Okay, now I've got a question for you all in a minute, but I have one more for you. Bearing in mind what you've told us already. Now, if Bollywood producers came to you and said, Anis Sajan, from the tenements of Mumbai to Emirates Hills, the Bollywood story, the Bollywood film, yes or no? Would you like to appear?
I would like to, but let's be very honest, Bollywood, you can either go up or you can go down. If I'm going to give my story, I'm going to make sure that I charge a heavy amount for that movie.
You can star in it.
When I say charge a heavy amount for that money, I don't want to be the producer. I don't want to be hiring any big stars for the movie. Let the producer get his own money.
And these guys will be the extras, I guess.
Well, I'll be the extra, he'll be the actor, because he's young enough to play it.
Yeah.
He's young enough to play his younger version.
What I was trying to come to it, the point is that if I'm giving you a good content, I'd rather charge money for it rather than produce myself.
Always the businessman. Okay. Now, again, for all three of you, if you had to sum up Dubai and UAE in one word, how would you describe it?
Home.
Home.
Home. Simple.
For me, home away from home. And I want to not say in word. I've been traveling in the last 33 years around the world. The more I travel, the more I want to come back to UAE and to this wonderful place, Dubai.
Sahil?
Can't live without this country. Like, I travel a lot, and it's just this. I just want to come back every time because it's the best.
Okay. And obviously, this weekend is UAE National Day. And you've mentioned obviously 53, so you share that birthday. What would be your message, all three of you again, to the UAE leadership on National Day, Eid al-Adha?
I want to thank all the rulers, for providing opportunity and being active in making sure that the country is growing and they allowing us to grow with it. So I want to thank everybody for that. And, providing that safety and security. It is home away from home, like my dad said. Everybody's welcome here. Everybody's comfortable here. And they want to build their life here. So they allow that to happen. So thank you for that.
Perfect. Anis?
A lot of people have been complaining about traffic in the last couple of years, rather 1 year recently. I'm happy and I'm glad that the traffic is growing, and that is because of the vision of this country. So I want to thank the rulers of this country who made this possible. Because when you have traffic, that means the country is booming, it's growing. So let the traffic grow, and along with them, all of us grow. So thank you to all the leaders.
And I guess Danube Group can get involved with building some roads at some point. Maybe that's another vertical for you.
Well, it comes in that line.
Sahil?
For me, like, this country has given me everything. I was born here, and the way they follow every culture, it's just not only Arab culture, there's Indians or South Americans. It's just one of the best countries, and we're just grateful to live here and just thankful. We're very thankful that we're in this country.
Okay, so obviously, guys, you've got probably one of the best mentors in the business in the UAE. Now, you're obviously young guys, you're in your 20s. Do you see him as old school or just classic?
He looks younger than us, but he is old school.
I mean, like, a lot of people compare, like, he looks like an elder brother, but he's very like a possessive guy. So yeah, he's very old school.
Classical, like you just mentioned.
Classical. So, like you said, we're both wearing ties as well. So we're both old school in that sense.
You have to understand, he is our boss and he's our father at the same time. So there's a work father. And
let me correct this, okay, guys? I'm neither their boss. I'm neither their dad. I'm their friend. Which, if they believe that I'm their friend, that old school gap will be plugged.
I wouldn't agree. I don't see him as a boss. He's just a father. A possessive guy, that's all. No
and this
friend.
almost sounds like sibling rivalry now.
He's not. He's not my friend. He's my father. He's a possessive guy.
So potentially, I mean, it could be a tricky relationship, but it sounds like you obviously the chemistry is there, isn't there? And that family chemistry is
You
there.
need to have a balance, and you need to understand that there's a work life and there's a family life, and they will cross paths.
And David, we did answer since it's getting longer, but we need to add, Rizwan and Anis, the bonding what we had. Azhar and Sahil and my nephew, my brother son Adil, they are a reflection of Rizwan and Anis. The bonding. So if you ask me what have we given to our kids, it's probably the bonding. They have learned the art of business from us, but most importantly, if you ask me what one thing I have given to the children is the bonding and the love which they have taken it forward. So the legacy.
So yeah, you've witnessed obviously what Anis and Rizwan have had, and you're taking that forward literally as a family, which is a powerful
business.
It's a powerful ingredient, isn't it, to the success story?
Very important. You stick together, you stay together, you grow together.
Perfect. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and thanks for some great inspiration and insight into the Danube Group and how it's thriving and it's going to continue to thrive in the future by the sounds of it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. That was our Business Extra podcast from the National with the three of the brilliant minds behind Danube Group. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.